Hello, hello, welcome or welcome back. Let's sit back, relax, have a snack, and enjoy. Sit at My Grave, Season 4, Sanity or Salvation, Chapter 14. He could hardly remember when he sat down, but found himself jerking slightly as the table's head rested against was hit. Arden sat up straight, eyes darting as he began to panic, balling his fist with clenched teeth. Slow down there, I was just fixing to pay you, Porter laughed, seeing the way Arden tried to pull himself together. Arden gingerly stood up. He'd been trying to figure out how much a train ticket would cost. Seeing as the plane had been so expensive, he decided to take a train instead. Then, try and find cabs back to his neighborhood, hopefully all in time for Reed's birthday. Here you are, little helper, Porter said with a wink, handing Arden $50. Arden felt his anticipation fall. He'd been working for hours, and he was certain this wasn't enough to get home. Most tickets he saw were over $100 at least. Arden took the cash in his hand, slowly gripping it in his palm. Well, good night, Porter said, nodding to him before walking off, heading back to his car. Arden watched him helplessly. What was he going to do? He needed to hurry. Getting home was just the surface of his issues, and he couldn't even manage that. Porter, Arden called, walking up to him. What? He questioned as he began piling things in his car. Will you be here tomorrow? I'd like to take the job again if you are, Arden sloppily asked. He still felt uncomfortable around so many people. He didn't belong. But what could he do? He had to get the money somehow. Beat seemed to run through Arden's body, and he couldn't seem to look him in the eyes while he spoke. Being out, almost alone at night with someone again, brought him bad memories. He never had a fighter's instinct, much less a killer's, but he didn't trust himself as much as he used to. You really need some money, huh? Tell you what, stay around town a couple of days. Maybe I'll give you some work in the late evenings or something, Porter suggested. Arden frowned. That'll be even more time down the drain. He was hoping he wouldn't have such inconsistent work. Most trains he'd need to catch were in the early mornings, and he was hoping he'd be out of this place tomorrow, or just the day after at the latest. Well, do we have a deal? I'm not trying to stay here all night, Porter told him. Is there anything I can do tonight for more money? Arden quickly asked. Porter chuckled. Travel the streets. I'm sure you'll find something, he suggested, laughing, before plopping down in his car. Arden gasped slightly. He didn't get the chance to relent and ask for the cleaning job back before Porter drove off. Again, Arden was back walking. He snagged his luggage back, and he was on his way dragging himself through town. He was learning helpful, kind people were few and far between. Most people weren't all that concerned with him. Porter obviously helped him a little, and he supposed he should be grateful for any kindness he was shown on his journey. As he got further in, he was sure he'd start to yearn for this too, just as he did the easy days at home. But for now, I guess he'd just have to take Porter's harsh advice and keep looking for a job. He was tired. But where was there to rest for a man like him? The world never felt friendly at night. People seemed more eager to get away from him, stuck to themselves or whatever group they came with. It wasn't deep within the city, so the sounds of cars weren't frequent enough to keep him company, and even fewer noises from creatures. Arden paused again, leaning against another older-appearing building, giving his body a rest. He breathed out another countless sigh as he eyed the place. He could try going into a store for a job, but they likely had a lot more to fill out before hiring than a common stand did. He just didn't have time for it. Arden didn't give himself much of a rest there either, and continued on. It was an odd feeling being out like this. He remembered a time where he'd been afraid to be out and alone, only egging himself on to do so by his own ego-driven anger. Nowadays, he understood more dangers outside, for both other people and everything else. However, before he could dive too deep into his own nerves, his mind brought up stabbing Yara. What did he have to fear? He was the number one type of person that people would try to avoid while they made it home. Mumbled talking caught Arden's attention. Not wandered around till he stumbled upon a man and woman sitting outside, tucked between two buildings. They had torn blankets laid there, along with a trash bag filled with other items. Pushed in the forefront sat a small beaten-up cardboard box, a collection of money inside it. Change! Change! Lowen quickly called out the question to Arden. He looks mean, That muttered, eyeing Arden as he moved to get in front of her. Please, we're trying to get food, she called again, paying her partner no mind. She quickly thrust the box out towards Arden. He slightly startled back. $10 more, please! We've been trying all day, he called desperately, grabbing at the end of Arden's coat with her dirty hands, where she sat on the ground. The man kneeling beside her quickly pried her hands away from his coat. Arden strained out. It's a weird feeling seeing people that bad off. They looked so dirty and skinny, begging him for something. He had to be struggling to think he looked like someone who was doing better, Arden thought. I'm sorry about her. You can just keep going, the man told him softly, keeping himself between them, as he seemed eager not to start a fight. I don't have much, Arden answered honestly. The words didn't feel good after he'd spoken them. He had help all the way here. They looked neglected. He in fact saw some other people walk by and barely give them a glance. It reminded him a bit of getting robbed himself, having no one do a single thing to help him. Please, you don't understand. I'll do anything. The woman began asking again, tears prickling her eyes. My life's just a hard game, please excuse her. Thanks for your time, young man. Arden's shocked gaze got torn from her, hearing the calmer words from her husband. He smiled at him, assuring it would be okay, but the smile never got to his eyes. Arden tensed. He felt awkward. He should focus on his own task. He had plenty of them. But still, walking away seemed cruel. And he wasn't cruel, was he? Again, Arden's brain brought him a memory. He watched a man beg him for bus fare and mocked him, completely disregarded, because he felt so much more important. Like no other problem mattered besides his own. Even as he struggled with helping or not, he still told himself he had to get home. And these people at least had each other. They'd even gathered some money in their box. Arden mumbled a sorry before walking off, heard the couple begin arguing about not asking longer for money. The lady sounded so broken, shouting about how it wasn't enough, while her husband steadily tried to calm her. Finally, a sharp sound of a baby crying made them both get quiet. They walked further between the buildings and stayed there. It's so irresponsible. How could they have a baby out here? They should have gotten their finances together instead of begging the public for help. Arden heard his faint thoughts. He grimaced at those. Not every situation was the same. He should know that more than anyone. At least they were trying to stay together, right? And feed their child any way they could. Guards have held themselves, their life got them there, came Arden's second thought. He couldn't just walk away like he used to, could he?